I know you have your definition of plant-based, vegan, vegetarian. I have my own definition that I'm now using for myself called plant forward. Why do we have all these labels for plant-based eating?
People love labels.
But is it like tribalism? I feel like it's a little bit like I need to pick a nutritional camp.
Kind of, yes. And I think if you take those labels away and you just kind of figure out how you want to eat, then the world probably would be a better place. But the easiest one to define is vegetarian. So vegetarian is someone that doesn't eat meat, but they do still include dairy and eggs or one or the other in their diet.
Okay.
Great. Chapter.
Done. They're easy to figure out.
Yeah. Plant forward, or I like to call veggie curious.
Veggie curious
is also an easier term because it's just somebody who kind of eats everything, but is looking at incorporating more plants into their diet because, as we'll talk about, I'm sure more in depth than we've been talking about for days, how important it is to have plants in your diet, no matter what you choose to have as your protein. And then plant-based and vegan is where it gets slightly more complicated. So vegan has no animal products at all. So no milk, no cheese, no eggs, no nothing, no animal proteins. And then I like to call plant-based a little bit even more because vegans still have a lot of junk food. They eat sugar.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's actually like the best time in the history of the world to be vegan because there are so many great products for everything. I mean, when I grew up and I stopped eating meat at 7, I mean, the only non-dairy milk was a powdered rice milk that you had to stir in water. And it was like, it was not even consumable. And so now you walk in and the whole dairy department is practically plant-based milks, which is really cool. So it's very easy now. But so then plant-based, in its title, is having a diet based in plants and not using the processed foods and really trying to stay as whole, real ingredient as possible.
Okay. So that leads me to, and you brought it up, I don't know if I've even told you this, that we've been together now for the last 2 days, but when I was 19 years old, I was a competitive tennis player. I played on a college scholarship and I got injured. And I have some pretty gnarly scars of like a surgery. I had a fasciotomy on my legs. And out of that, I got chronic fatigue syndrome. And from that, I got very interested in the healing power of diet. And I tried lots of different diets afterwards and could experiment with what made my body felt well with and what it didn't feel well with. And at that time, I stumbled across a book. And the book, this is like 1990, and the book was Diet for a New America. I know. Can you believe we've been together for 2 days and I didn't tell you this?
That's bearing the lead. I mean, okay, so that was one of the very first books on diet I ever read. And I believe I was like 8 or, no, I think it was like 10 or 11 when I read it.
You would have been because
weird.
I was like 19, 20, and I think we're like 10 years apart. But and for people who don't know that book, he was the heir to the Baskin and Robbins ice cream. And he gave that up because he didn't like how the cows were being treated and he saw the cardiovascular damage of dairy. Yeah. And I literally read that book and I wasn't vegan, I was vegetarian. Okay. And I went vegetarian for 10 years.
Wow.
But I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
And so over that 10 years, I was like, what do we call, like a junk food tarian is what that you probably could have called me.
Yeah.
Like I just ate a ton of carbs. So out of that experience, I realized that actually going plant-based, there is an art to it.
Well, there's an art to just eating in general, whether you're choosing to eat animal proteins or not.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, plants are where all of the essential vitamins and nutrients to make your body function properly and regularly are. And so unless you're getting those every single day in your diet, there's room for improvement.
Right.